Hey everybody, this is Rabbi Mordechai Finley. I've been asked by my veteran students in the Wisdom Work classes to provide a brief instructional on the first daily practice, the virtue practice. So if you're a veteran student, I hope you find this helpful. If you're brand new to this, realize this is in the middle of something quite deep and quite transformative. I hope you find it valuable. And just know I'll be explaining all this and putting it in more context in the subsequent YouTube/podcast. So in this first daily practice, we want to make sure that whatever else we do during our day, we don't harm our interpersonal relationships. And with that end in mind, I recommend you say to yourself in the bathroom, into the mirror, something like the following. Today I will not anger at others. My anger is my anger. I'm going to work it through inside. I'm going to figure out what I have to say. I'm going to say it in a kind, clear, and firm way. I'm going to be rational, and I'm going to invite their response. I will not anger at other people. I'll work it through first. More explicitly, and again, this is either in hot anger or just hostility, I will not criticize other people. And by criticizing, I mean pointing out their faults in an unkind way. I add to criticizing the pernicious habit of giving unsolicited advice. When we give unsolicited advice, we don't know it, but we're saying to people, I'm okay, you're not okay. I know you don't know. I know you better than you know yourself. I'm going to school you on life. I'm going to tell you what's up. Now, we may say, well, my intentions are good, but as we all know, good intentions don't go far enough in creating goodness. Okay? We not only have to have the intention, we have to actually focus on the delivery, how things are said. If I have advice to give somebody, the first thing I say is, would you mind a piece of advice? Whatever comes next has to be very specific and then invite their feedback. Unsolicited advice with some people will just create a protest back at you. For people who don't have a very strong sense of ego self, for example, a child, they internalize it. And other people just sulk and walk away. They don't take you seriously. So unsolicited advice under criticism is not a good thing. The second of the four C's is no complaining. Now, complaining for me is a bit different from criticism because oftentimes complaining is said, for example, in a wistful way. Oh, I wish you were. I wish we could, meaning I wish you would. Sometimes people couch it in very careful phraseology. I don't feel respected, which means you don't respect me. I don't feel loved, meaning you don't love me. So oftentimes criticism is couched in very careful ways. But I've realized that many people can look past the way that something is phrased and they realize they're being criticized. And then the complaining person hides behind the vagueness of what they're saying, and sometimes severe conflict and alienation follows. So what I strongly recommend is you got to complain about somebody, do the heavy lifting of thinking exactly what you want to say. Instead of saying, I don't feel respected, admit to yourself that what you're saying is, I don't think you respect me, and then be able to back that up. That's a pretty big thing to level against another human being. There might be a better way to say that to work something through. An especially pernicious kind of complaining is the why questions, W-H-Y. Why didn't you do your homework? Why didn't you take the garbage out? Why didn't you get the oil changed in the car? And remember, why is it pernicious? You're not really asking why. You're issuing a complaint. And other people, when they're asked why, they have an instinctive reaction to explain. Somebody asks why, you want to explain. But of course, the person who asks why as a complaint isn't interested in why. They're interested in pointing out the failure of another person. So I've seen people so-called innocently ask why questions, not so innocent. The other person responds, says, why did you get your homework done? Because I like playing video games. If it was a why question, it ends there. But then there's a pile on. Well, you should do your homework, which is what they meant to say to begin with. So I recommend don't use why questions, even in your thinking. If you're thinking, why don't they do that? Why did they do this? Actually force yourself to phrase exactly what you want to say in a kind, clear, firm, rational way. Stop talking, invite their response. So no criticizing, no complaining. The third thing is no condemning. Now this is the over the top of the four C's, where your emotions have ratcheted up and it's finding its way into sometimes very hurtful language. So under the fourth C of no condemning is no accusing, no blaming, no labeling, unkind comparing, no putting down, no cutting down, certainly no abusive language, no insulting, condemnatory gestures of face and hands, etc. Now, those emotions are real, and we really do want to express those emotions to people who have let us down, people who have hurt us, and so forth. It never leads to a good place. You might just hurt their feelings and they just have to absorb it until you calm down, which is actually not very fair. You owe an apology quickly. Or people might resent it. And those resentments build up. We call that killing a relationship by 1,000 slashes. So whatever the feeling is, no condemning. To say to yourself, I'm not doing it today. I'm not going to condemn other people today. You got something to say? Figure out a way to say it. The fourth of the four C's, no criticizing, no complaining, no condemning, is no escalating conflict. And what this means is, after a discussion, an argument, exchange of ideas that tells you that something negative is going on, after 2 or 3 go around, it's best just to walk away. So even if you're not criticizing, complaining, just arguing about politics, religion, all those kinds of things, you notice that people have entrenched their views. Either it's interpersonal or talking about something else. Whatever happens next is not going to get better. It's better to say, we're just going round and around. How about if we stop this conversation, take a breather, come back, and really try to work this through, especially on the interpersonal realm. Because on the interpersonal realm, each one needs to come out right. Each one needs to come out feeling that they've been heard, that they've been seen. And sometimes at a given moment, people are just not capable. It's better to say, after 2 or 3 go-arounds, I'm just going to stop. So no escalating conflict. No criticizing, complaining, condemning, no escalating conflict. On the other side, for the person who is the object of another person's anger, criticizing, complaining, condemning, or desire for conflict, on your side, of course, you try to diffuse the situation. You might want to justify something that you've said or done. You might want to explain yourself. You might want to defend yourself. You might want to deny everything they're saying. It's just not true. You might want to demand that they calm down. You might want to try to give them more information. I call this the Jedi. Typically, justifying, explaining, defending, denying, trying to give more information. That's good. This is the good Jedi. The good Jedi is someone's upset. You invest in a couple of go-arounds to set the record straight, calm the other person down. After a couple of go-arounds, it's not going to work any further, and here's why. When a person is stuck, is entrenched in a hostile state of mind, and they tell you what's up, what you did wrong, how you let them down, and you defend, effectively what you're doing is refuting what they feel and what they think. And they will oftentimes dig in and they will attack your defense, and you defend, and then it escalates. So in general, when another person is entrenched in their hostility, angering, criticizing, complaining, condemning, unrelenting conflict, it's well for you to de-escalate. De-escalating words such as, hey, we're not getting anywhere. I really don't want us to talk like this. Can we both calm down, come back another time? Someone wants to de-escalate, diffuse, depart, and come back later. Now, there's much more to this practice. Of course, there's vast depth to wisdom work in general. But I have to share with you in my counseling, one of the first things I do after I hear the situation, what the problem is, I ask people to please commit to the wall of virtue. Meaning, your anger and the 4 C's hit a wall. You're not building a wall against another person. You're building a wall against your own negativity so you can build a bridge to the other person. It's not walling them out, it's walling your negativity in so you can build a bridge. The same thing with the bad Jedi, defensiveness. Defensiveness wants to get out. It's natural. But oftentimes when that defensiveness gets out, it doesn't make anything better. So why do you build a wall against your defensiveness? So you can build a bridge. The walls keep either your toxic behavior inside of you or your futile behavior inside of you so you can build bridge to another person. Now, what do you do with all that energy? This is not repression. You're not repressing your upset. You're not repressing your defensiveness. A further part of what I teach is the working through of those emotions so you can come back and have a productive, nourishing conversation that actually makes things better. I call those the wisdom mills, the rationality practice. There's a lot to say about that, but none of that will make anything better if you don't have your wall of virtue intact. So I hope for the veteran students, this little teaching has reminded you of what we've been studying. I hope for anybody new at this, that you found this instructive and helpful. For everybody, please tune into subsequent YouTubes and podcasts. I hope to get Wisdom Works out for everybody, and I guarantee this will make your life better.